Imagine this, a crowded, glittering private school where every child came from power, prestige, and privilege. They were taught to believe they were destined for greatness, yet in the middle of that sparkling world sat a little girl who felt invisible. Her name was Emily. She was only 9 years old, with bright eyes and a shy smile, but there was something about her that set her apart from all the others. She was deaf. Her billionaire father, Mr. Harrington, one of the most powerful men in the city, had provided her with the best doctors, the best tutors, the best everything, yet still, she was treated like she didn't belong. Emily could see the other kids laughing, whispering, making friends. She tried to join in, but every time she approached, they pulled away, confused or uncomfortable by her attempts to sign. Teachers pitied her, assistants ignored her, and even in the middle of a full classroom, she lived in silence. But the silence didn't come from her deafness, it came from loneliness. Then came the day that changed everything. Emily sat alone at lunch, staring down at her untouched tray. Across the cafeteria, laughter erupted, loud and careless, as if the world had no place for her. That's when an older man in faded overalls walked past, pushing a mop and bucket. He wasn't supposed to be noticed. He was just the janitor. His name was Daniel. To most, he was invisible, the man who cleaned the floors, fixed the lights, and emptied the trash. But Emily looked up, and for once, someone looked back. Daniel paused. His eyes softened. Then, slowly, carefully, he raised his hands and signed, "Hello." Emily froze. Her heart pounded. No one here ever spoke her language. Tears welled in her eyes as she quickly signed back, "You know sign language?" Daniel smiled gently. "Yes. My brother was deaf. You are not alone." It was as if a door had opened to her silent world. For the first time, Emily felt seen. She spent her breaks waiting for Daniel, signing excitedly as he worked. He told her stories about his brother, about struggles and strength, about finding light in dark places. She shared her drawings, her dreams, her fears. And in those quiet conversations, the little girl who had once been invisible began to shine. But in the eyes of others, this bond didn't go unnoticed. Whispers spread. Teachers looked disapprovingly. How could a billionaire's daughter be spending her time with a janitor? When Mr. Harrington heard, he was furious. One evening, he stormed into the school after hours and found Emily in the hallway with Daniel. She was laughing, truly laughing, for the first time in months. But Mr. Harrington didn't see joy. He saw embarrassment. "Emily," he said sharply, his voice echoing. "You are a Harrington. You do not waste time with people who clean floors." Emily's little hands trembled, but she signed desperately to her father, "He listens to me. He understands me. You don't." Mr. Harrington's face fell. For all his billions, for all his power, he realized he had never truly heard his daughter. And in that single moment, silence pressed on him like a weight. Daniel stepped forward, respectful but firm. He signed as he spoke aloud, so Emily could see his hands and her father could hear the words. "Sir, money can buy her tutors, doctors, even opportunities. But what she needs most is love, patience, and someone willing to speak her language. If you can't give her that, then all your wealth means nothing." The words pierced deeper than Mr. Harrington expected. For days afterward, he couldn't shake them. He replayed the look in his daughter's eyes, that mixture of pain and hope. He had built empires, yet here was his child, crumbling right in front of him. That night, he sat in his study, scrolling through video tutorials, fingers fumbling as he tried to mimic the signs. It wasn't easy. His hands felt clumsy, his movements stiff. But he kept practicing. For once, his billions couldn't help him, only his effort could. Weeks later, during a quiet breakfast, Emily sat with her usual downcast eyes, pushing food around her plate. Then her father reached across the table. Slowly, carefully, he signed, "Good morning, Emily. I love you." Her fork clattered against the plate. Tears filled her eyes as she stared at him, hands shaking. Then she signed back with a trembling smile, "I love you too, Dad." From then on, everything changed. Mr. Harrington started joining her lessons. He hired interpreters, not for pity, but to help build bridges. At school, he spoke openly about his daughter's strength, demanding that teachers and students respect her voice, her hands, her silence, her soul. And Daniel, the janitor who had once been invisible, was no longer just the man who cleaned the floors. He became Emily's mentor, her safe place, her friend. Mr. Harrington personally shook his hand and said, "Thank you for giving me my daughter back." The billionaire's daughter was no longer ignored. She was celebrated, her laughter filling rooms where once there had only been silence. And the world around her learned something money could never buy. True connection comes not from status but from understanding.